James Spoovy here from the Epic Sports Network. I'm pleased to be joined by Cam Yowell, newly signed quarterback for the Bialystok Lowlanders in Bialystok, Poland. Cam, thanks so much for joining us here. I'm excited to learn about your football journey. First of all, people watching this right now might go, hey, you guys are in a music rehearsal studio. What's going on? You play guitar. We got together tonight not only to do this interview, but to jam a little bit. We're going to do that afterwards here. But tell us about your musical abilities.
Yeah, so one of my favorite hobbies has been picking up the guitar. I started playing my senior year of high school at Notre Dame Prep, and I loved it ever since. It's just one of those things. I always grew up listening to my dad's music, whether it's AC/DC, Black Sabbath, Metallica, whatever it is. And I sort of had an affinity with it. Loved playing Guitar Hero on the Wii. That was fun. But I was like, you know what? This is the real thing. So I went and picked up the guitar, ended up going through Randy Rhoads, and just absolutely fell in love with playing. First song I ever learned start to finish was Crazy Train. So super excited to be able to jam after.
Well, we'll be playing that a little bit here tonight as well. And great first player to pick up on, Randy Rhoads, one of the best guitar players ever to grace planet Earth. When it comes to music and playing the guitar, is that kind of I know you said a hobby, but is it a release for you? Maybe when you're away from football, kind of take your mind off of that, kind of step away for a minute and do something you enjoy as well as football?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, music, everyone's got their own different taste in music. You know, playing the guitar isn't the only type of, or I guess you could say metal or rock music isn't the only type of music I listen to, but it's something that I can control and it's something that I can do. So it's pretty cool. It helps get me in the groove, helps me get in the mood, because I don't know, there's really not a better feeling than being able to ace a solo and you're just like, wow, I'm the man. So it's pretty exciting, it's pretty riveting, and I just enjoy it.
Now you're going into your second year in the Polish Football League 1 this coming season.
Yep.
Last year you were able to play over there, but only unfortunately one game. Talk to us about that experience with the Falcons and what you took from that experience with that football team.
Absolutely. Playing with the Falcons was an incredible experience. I certainly don't regret any decision that I made last year as far as choosing to go there, playing in that league. It's just unfortunate sort of the way that things ended up ending with my ACL being torn in week 1 and then eventually fully ruptured by the time I came back on our third game. But the overall experience was great. Europe is completely different than here, but better in a lot of different ways. I really enjoyed, the people out there, enjoyed meeting my new teammates, spending time with them, being able to travel around the country, and then eventually around the continent. We were able to go to a couple places like Malta and Cyprus, really cool, and then obviously be able to travel throughout Poland. The experience was just overall 10 out of 10, and it obviously could have been better had I not gotten injured, but I know how good it was. Including the fact that I got injured, I think we're in store for a big 2024.
Now, how has the rehab been? I've been blessed to have your dad keep me updated throughout that progress. Talk to us from your perspective how the rehab's gone. Obviously not an easy thing to undertake, but a guy like you who really loves football, I imagine you just put your nose to the grindstone and went right to work.
Absolutely. I knew it wasn't going to be easy. Obviously, coming back from an ACL reconstruction is probably one of the more difficult things that you can do. I wouldn't wish this injury on anybody. The first 2 weeks were probably the most painful and most just dreadful weeks of my life. Being strapped to a bed, not having people take care of you, it certainly puts you in a different type of mindset, puts you in a different type of place mentally. But I was able to overcome. My approach was I was going to attack this rehab. I knew I was going to come back stronger than I was before, and we're right on pace. I'm hitting PRs in the gym already. My knee's feeling great. We're not really at that 9-month mark yet, but we're almost there, which is sort of the ballpark as far as when you're going to make a full recovery. So I'm super excited. I had a great surgeon, Dr. Tom Noonan. He took care of me. Worked for the Denver Broncos and the Colorado Rockies. Just absolutely phenomenal surgeon. Had a great rehab team at Ortho AZ here up at the Victoria of North Scottsdale. And I'm just excited. I'm ready to roll. We're just 1 week away from hitting the plane and going up to Europe. So I'm super excited.
That is great stuff. We're excited to watch you compete over there. Now, you're a native Phoenix area guy, being from Scottsdale, and had a successful career up at Notre Dame Prep with the Saints. Talk about that experience in high school and how that kind of formed your mentality as a quarterback.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people wish things sort of went different ways in the past, but I'm one of those guys that thinks that everything happened for a reason. I wouldn't be where I am today without the adversity and all the trials and tribulations that I went through at Notre Dame. Now, it wasn't easy. I was in a situation where I was rotating quarterbacks for the 2 years that I was on varsity, but was able to overcome that, be able to get an opportunity to go play college ball, have success, and it was just super exciting. I love all the guys and all the memories I have at Notre Dame. The coaching staff has been phenomenal. The weight training guys, most of the guys are still there. So if I wanted to go pop in, say hi, it's a mutual respect thing. Like, how's it going? But yeah, Notre Dame certainly taught me a lot, and I think it prepped me just for real life in general. Life isn't going to be easy, and when you have difficulties through life, just prepares you for the next stages in your life. So
That's exactly right. We're visiting here with Cam Yowell, quarterback for the Bialystok Lowlanders. Now, Cam, after you graduated from Notre Dame Prep in 2016, you went out to Los Angeles and played for a year at Occidental College. What did you take away from that experience?
Yeah, that experience was probably the most unique one I think I've ever had. Getting recruited by a coach that ends up retiring 1 month before the season starts. They hire a guy that runs a completely different scheme outside of me. I ended up not getting the starting nod. And then shortly after, the season gets canceled because half the team quit before the season. And then we had injuries to the point where we only had like 4 healthy O linemen by week 3. So it was really unfortunate. The athletic department decided to cancel the season despite the fact that we all wanted to continue playing. Thankfully, we were able to get an extra year of eligibility from the NCAA. Granted, given our situation was a bit different than most. But it's unfortunate because shortly after they just decided to cancel the program. There really wasn't the support there financially. I can't really speak too much because I left after the first year, but it's really unfortunate, sad to see because it was a program with a lot of history and no longer. So it's unfortunate.
So after you left Occidental, you came back to the Valley and attended Phoenix College to play for the Bears. And then little did you know you were going to come upon the same sort of situation where the Maricopa County Community College District would axe the football program at Phoenix College. Mm-hmm. What was that year like over there?
Yeah, that year was unique in itself as well. We started the preseason with 5 quarterbacks on the roster and ended up finishing with only 1. It was me. So I was doing scout team, I was doing second team, I was doing first team, I was doing everything. I had no days off, was taking all the hits, and giving everything I have, quite literally for the last season the Phoenix College had. It was an incredible experience, though. I look back, I got banged up, I got hit quite a bit. Sort of put me in a place mentally where I was like, oh shoot, like I just took a huge beating. Like, is this something that I want to continue doing? Like, but nothing's ever easy. You have to go through the mud sometimes to make it to the other side. And it was one of those things. I just decided to put my nose to the grindstone, keep working, stay in the gym, keep training, be prepared for whatever opportunity comes my way. And I learned a lot just from the trials and tribulations that I had at Phoenix College. So
now, during those couple of years there where football kind of started to get rocky, for lack of a better term, was there a moment or a moment in time where you said to yourself, you kind of rededicated yourself to football and, you know what, it doesn't matter what it takes, I'm going to play this game. I can see that this might not be as easy as you might want it to be, but I'm going to stick it out.
Well, I think the most important thing is actually playing, right?
Yes.
And I wanted to go to a place where I was going to have an opportunity, regardless of, sort of whatever happened. But also, I also wanted to control what I could control. And I can control where I was going to school. I could control my mindset. I can control my work ethic. I can't control what coaches are going to recruit me. I can't control what colleges are going to give me money with whether, I go there or not. So I chose to go to a school that I wanted to go to and was going to control my destiny regardless of the situation. So I decided to go to Auburn, decided to walk on. I was essentially planning to walk on in the winter.
Yes.
But that sort of situation ended up coming a little bit different than I had expected. So I missed the deadline to walk on in the fall. But during the QB battle between Bo Nix and Joey Gatewood entered the transfer portal after losing the job. And there was an opening at quarterback. Now, keep in mind, I was already enrolled on campus. I was playing intramurals at the time.
Here comes Cam.
Just staying prepped. And I got the call from Kenny Dillingham, who's the offensive coordinator at the time, said, hey, we know you're on campus. I know you got connections with Arizona. Would you be interested in still playing football? I was like, that was my plan. So it was really cool being able to join the team at Auburn and be there for the short time I was before the whole coronavirus stuff.
What was it like to be there at Auburn and be in that type of program with Coach Malzahn and then a quarterback like Bo Nix and playing and kind of studying under him, if you will, and kind of improving your game?
Yeah, absolutely. It was an interesting, just a completely unique experience. Division I football is nothing to scoff at. It's definitely a full-time job for those athletes. I was waking up early, 5 a.m. workouts, and then having class at 8 a.m. Coming back for film sessions later. It's nothing easy. But I was only really doing training on campus for 2 months. It was from January to February. Then we went home for spring break. And then as we came back, we're prepping for spring ball, and we got the call. Pandemic's hitting, no one come back, stay at home, only remote stuff. So, yeah, it was quite a unique experience. Being in Zoom meetings for 5 months before unfortunately getting the news that they had to cut the roster size. They could only have so many guys in the locker room. So about a fourth of the roster got shaved because they had to do the social dincing and the space with the lockers. And, I was a new guy. I just joined the team. I'm not on scholarship. They don't owe me anything. So it's one of those things. I understand the situation. And, it lit a fire even more so in me to go prove myself. I said, I know I belong here. Let me go show the world that I did. So,
now, while you were making these couple moves to these different colleges and so forth, you were mindful of the fact that, what is this going to look like in the end? Tuition-wise, do they have the right degree program that I'm trying to study? Talk about that process of being mindful of the end outcome of all this. Not because a lot of these younger players, and they just want to play football, right?
Yeah.
They get an offer from North Dakota State, and they don't think about the fact, hey, you know what? It might be tough for mom and dad to get up there and see me play some games, or hey, wait a minute, I didn't know it was going to be $15,000 up front to go to school here. I was just thinking about playing football. How do you approach that?
So financially, I think it's very important that people learn financial education and learn to take care of themselves for the future, right? Because football doesn't last forever.
Sure.
It's very important to not be in student loan debt. The number one asset of the United States government is student loan debt. If you did not know, if you file for bankruptcy, you still have to pay off that debt. So it's very important that you don't take on too much debt to where you drown yourself, to where you're pretty much chasing that debt the rest of your life. I'm in a financial position where I was smart about that, didn't take on too much debt, didn't put myself in a position where I would be digging myself out of a really deep hole for the next 20 years. We're almost cleared of it. But that's one thing I always recommend to young players coming up. Go where you get paid to play, as in get a scholarship, where they're giving you money, because this game is very short and you can go ball out wherever you choose to go. You go to Western New Mexico, for example, on a full ride as opposed to walking on at ASU. You can go put on some really good tape in Western New Mexico, and all of a sudden, transfer portal's open. You might have Oregon calling. It's crazy how this game works now. So I always say get paid first, but obviously go where you can play as well. I think that's important.
For sure. Now, you've been training for a long time now with Coach Dan Minucci, former Kansas State quarterback, in his lab. He has all around the valley, which is really cool. And he trains some other great quarterbacks that we're very familiar with. We'll talk about in a moment. How's it been with Coach Minucci and training for him for a couple of years now?
Coach Minucci has been a phenomenal mentor for me over the course of my journey. I started training with him when I was in 8th grade, and getting the mechanics right, getting the footwork right, making sure I'm staying balanced, using my back leg, rotating with the hips, all the stuff that we hear in the lab on a day-to-day basis. But he's also been someone that's stuck his neck out for me. When there was coaches in high school, in college, that saw me as a second option, he was always the guy that he believed in me. So I always go back and I remember all the motivation, all the encouragement that he instilled in me, just by being just a phenomenal role model. And I can't thank Coach Dan enough for all that he's done in my life. So
he's a great guy for sure. I'd like to talk about your parents and their influence in your life, and specifically your football journey. We know that football is not done by ourselves, especially when we're at the younger levels. We have to have people take us to practice, make sure we have the right stuff that we need. What kind of role have they played in your journey?
They've played just an absolutely huge role in my whole journey. My mom and dad have been some of the most supportive people in my life. I would argue the most supportive people in my life. It's crazy because we have people in our extended family that think I'm crazy doing what I'm doing. And they probably think I'm crazy, for doing what I'm doing. But that's okay. That I still have their unconditional love and support. Which is, it's such a weight off your shoulders knowing that you have two loving parents in your life. And I'm excited, for my mom to come out and watch the first game. She wasn't able to come last time. She's come with my grandma as well. So it's really exciting. And my dad, of course, he's my #1 PR agent. So he's posting all my stuff on social media and making sure that people know that I'm still alive and well and slinging the rock. So can't thank him enough as well for all that he does for me. So he's absolutely number one dad in the world. So.
It's all about having that support system behind you, isn't it? It really is. Looking towards the first season with the Lowlanders over there in Poland coming up. You're heading out, you said next week, I believe, and then you guys will start training camp shortly after that. What are you looking forward to the most?
That's a great question. I think the thing I'm looking forward to the most is just getting on the field. I mean, it was taken from me last year, right, with the injury and 8 months of rehab. I've only been on the field training for roughly 2 months now. Just being able to walk the field and just spin the ball and just meet the guys, just start building the relationships that I built last year. I think that's, at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is the relationships with the people that you have on the team and the relationships with the people that you meet along your journey. People is what make life important. If you were to pick 3 things that are the most important to you, it's not money, it's not your guitar, it's not your stuff, it's always the people that you love, right?
That's true.
So I'm super mindful of that and really looking forward to just continuing to foster and develop new relationships with my new teammates and staff members and everything. So I'm super excited for that.
Now, rewind just a little bit. You were able to create an account or a portal, if you will, on this European football website in order to get yourself recruited, for lack of a better term, over there. Talk about that experience.
Yeah, so I built an account on Europlayers, which is great. It's not necessarily just for Europe. It's just for global in general, outside of the U.S. So it's a recruiting platform for players that have finished college and want to continue playing their playing careers at the professional level outside of the United States. And it's so interesting because so many people stick up their nose at opportunities like this, or they don't know about them because it's gatekept, or they never heard of,
Sure.
oh, wow, football's in Europe, or
Right.
football's in Japan,
True.
or football's in Mexico. Like, people only really think about the NFL, UFL, CFL. That's all that people knows, and maybe even arena. But there's a whole big world out there. America is not the only country in the world, even though it might seem like it is when we're, inside this little box that is the U.S. Being able to stretch your horizons and go try out new things and see new places, I think has been just an incredible experience. And Euro Players was the platform that was able to do that for me. It's really interesting. I'm excited that I was able to get an opportunity because it's been the best thing that's happened to me. So
That seems like the go-get-it attitude that you have,
Yeah.
Cam, and that makes complete sense.
Mhm.
What would a really successful season over in Poland this year do for you as far as getting some really good film on record and really just establishing yourself as a premier quarterback?
Oh, it's an absolute game changer. It's the most important thing that I'm looking forward to this year is getting on the field, putting together a really good highlight tape, and getting an opportunity to go play at a higher level. ELF is eventually the goal after PFL 1. So I'd like to get an opportunity to play in the European League of Football. It's top-notch football, and I believe I belong, and I think I'll be able to have a chance to show everyone that I can if I finish the season. So that's the second goal, is making sure I stay on the field, which is why I'm taking my rehab so seriously and taking my recovery process so seriously. But I'm super motivated to bring another championship to Bialystok and eventually get an opportunity to go play at a higher level. So
Make no mistake, Cam, the ELF will be watching you this upcoming season for sure. Final question I have for you, back to the lab with Coach Minucci. You've been able to work with some outstanding players out there, including Brock Purdy,
Yes.
who we just watched yesterday win the NFC Championship for the 49ers. He's going to the Super Bowl in his second year in the NFL. You know Brock personally. What does it mean to you to see someone like that you have a personal connection with excel?
it just reminds you that all you need is an opportunity. He taken with the last pick in the draft, started at third on the depth chart. Jimmy G, Trey Lance, all these guys that were these top picks and had great careers so far in the NFL. Brock, all he did was show up, put in the work, and as soon as his number was called, he was ready to roll, and he never looked back. And I'm super excited for him, for this opportunity to play in the Super Bowl. I'm super excited just that Arizona football's on the map because of him. Because there's ballers here in this state, and it's really unfortunate that they only really think about California, Florida, Louisiana, the South. But Arizona football's got some talent. Brock Purdy is just the most recent example of that. There's other guys in the league, Christian Kirk, Byron Murphy, Everson Griffin, other guys that have come through the league that have been just absolutely phenomenal players. But Brock, I'm super excited for him. I think he's going to shock the world, and I want to see him bring home that Lombardi because I think he's going to. Listen, if I had a bet, I'm taking the Niners.
Well, all of us here in Arizona will be rooting for Brock Purdy in Super Bowl 58 coming up in Vegas in a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Cam, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Quarterback for the Bialystok Lowlanders. He'll be competing this season in the Poland Professional Football League 1, and we're excited to watch you work, my man. Thank you so much for taking the time.